The Automaton vs KG M40. These are two of the easiest to use assault rifles in all of Warzone. This makes them feel great to use, but which one is the best? This is what I'm here to answer by looking at their stats in depth and telling you how they perform based on my in-game experience testing out their best classes, which I'll give you at the end. Welcome back, I'm Austin, and let's start by going over one of the most important stats, fire rate, where the Automaton has a good advantage with 833 rounds per minute and the KG only has 635. This will make the Automaton more forgiving if you miss a shot because it only adds 72 milliseconds to its time to kill per missed shot, whereas the KG will add 93. That makes the Auto 21 milliseconds more forgiving. Let's switch over to see how much damage these weapons are going to do. The KG is going to have a big advantage here in average damage at both ranges, and the KG has to have this higher damage due to its slower fire rate. There are pros and cons to both these weapons with their damage profiles, where the KG M40 is going to have a better headshot multiplier, but the Automaton has its stomach damage equal to its chest shot damage. The plus side to the KG is that you only have to hit about half your shots to the chest to get its good time to kill, which is extremely easy to do with that weapon. Right before I talk about their time to kills, I want to go over their base ranges where the Automaton is significantly better with 43 meters to 33. This is about a 25% increase over the KG. This is an important advantage because you will be using these weapons in the 30 to 40 meter range often. Alright, now let's get to the stat that everyone cares about the most, time to kill. I'll start with the 300 health, then switch over to the 250 health TTKs, and at close range, the most likely outcome for TTK is going to go to the KG at 837 milliseconds to 864. These are not great, but they're both meant to be used at mid to long range, and their long range TTK is actually going to switch over to the Automaton being better at 936 milliseconds to 1023. That is a decent gap on their TTK, but not big enough where it's going to decide which one is better, because all it takes is missing one shot on the Auto to make their time to kills nearly identical. And at long range, you will most likely not be hitting 100% of your shots. And one thing I also want to point out just before the 250 health time to kills is that the Automaton takes 14 shots to eliminate and the KG only takes 12. The Auto will feel like you're shooting blanks with how many hit markers you're going to be getting. Now for the Rebirth Island time to kills, the KG will once again have the better one up close at 651 milliseconds to 720. And at long range, the Auto will win by a little with 792 milliseconds to 837. The KG still takes 2 less bullets to kill, but one change to the KG that makes it one of the fastest killing assault rifles in all of Warzone, but will take more skill to use because the recoil and bullet velocity will both get substantially worse. Rebirth TTKs become crazy at 584 milliseconds and 657, and on Caldera they'll become 657 and 803. This is better than the STG and XM4 by over 100 milliseconds on both maps, the most popular assault rifles currently within Warzone. But will the recoil allow us to use it? Let's actually compare the recoil patterns on their setups. I'm going to start off with the accurate KG M40 compared to the Automaton, and it's easy to see that the KG just doesn't move at all. It is by far the easiest to use assault rifle in the entirety of Warzone. It feels fantastic because you don't miss any shots, whereas the Automaton is accurate, but bounces enough to allow for a couple misses here and there. Now I'll compare the KG M40 with the rapid barrel to the accurate one. As you can see, we get a lot more kick to it. The biggest difference is going to be that there's a little bit of horizontal recoil, which makes it more difficult to use. I found it easy enough to use out to 75-80 meters. I could push it to about 100, but the bullet velocity being worse, on top of the extra recoil, made it not work out to 170 meters like the shrouded barrel. Speaking of bullet velocity, both these weapons have an insane max bullet velocity, where the KG will be better with 1579 meters per second to 1457. These are both incredible and make the weapons feel hit scan. Usually meta assault rifles have around 1000 to 1200 bullet velocity, but these exceed that by a mile, making them easier to use at long range. This allows us to push the range out of these assault rifles even greater than usual. Next up, we got damage per mag, and it's going to be the KG by just a little bit, even though the Automaton has a huge magazine of 75 rounds. This is because the Auto has such horrible damage per bullet. This stat is a big factor in the larger game modes like trios and quads, while playing no factor in solos, but the good news is both these weapons have plenty of damage for quads. Switching over to the close range damage per second, with the KG, it's going to win 351 to 333. Then if we go over to the long range damage per second, it's now going to be the Automaton by a decent chunk, about 50 better. And these are in line with their time to kills. However, if we switch over to the rapid barrel on the KG, it's going to make a jump to 420 up close and 312 damage per second at long range, which are very, very good for ARs. Finally, if we go over to the movement stats, the Automaton is going to be better with movement, strafe, ADS movement, and aim down sight speed. Then they're going to be identical in sprint to fire times. The movement advantages are important for the Automaton, but they aren't drastic outside of the aim down sight speed, which we are going to help fix in the class setup, making it not a big deal. But since every millisecond counts when we're playing Warzone, it's definitely still a valuable plus on the Automaton. Make sure to subscribe, then you can get notified when more Warzone videos are released. I've given you the information, and it's time for my verdict on which weapon is better. The KG M40. Even though the KG has a slower theoretical time to kill, it doesn't feel that way because it is so accurate and you don't miss, and it takes fewer bullets to knock players. When looking at these weapons, they are long-range specialists, so why not go with the one that has the better bullet velocity, better recoil, and better damage, which all play a huge factor at long range, while having 0.08 meters per second faster movement plays almost no factor. Both weapons are very good, but the KG is just better. Then if we look at Rebirth, where super long engagements don't really happen too often, which one's going to be better there? We can switch the KG to the rapid barrel and get just as fast of a fire rate, but have much better damage and time to kill. I think no matter the map, the KG is better, you just have to change the class setup slightly. And speaking of the best class setups, let's jump straight into them. We're going to start by giving the Automaton's best class setup, and all these attachments are going to be geared towards making the weapon more accurate. Then some of them may also increase the bullet velocity and some may also increase the range, but they're all geared towards making this thing as accurate as possible because that's when it performs its best. So that's why we still keep the 75 round mag on instead of the 50 round one, because even though it makes the damage a little bit better, we're going to lower the fire rate and we're going to lower the accuracy. That's no good. I want to really point out this optic right here because I know a lot of people love to use this SVT 3 to 6 times optic, but it's actually less accurate than the 12-9 Slate 3.25 times custom. And I'm going to tell you why. The visual recoil on this 3 to 6 times optic is so much greater on this gun, so even though there isn't that much recoil, it looks and is perceived as being more recoil, therefore you're going to over adjust your aim. Just make sure to put on the Slate because it not only makes you have less visual recoil, it also makes your aim down sight speed better than this 3 to 6 times optic because it hurts it less. This is going to make the gun perform so much better, and we're going to be using the same sight on the KG M40 that I'll get to in a minute. And then, of course, I think tight grip is probably the most important attachment here because we need the accuracy to be good during sustained fire because you have to sustain your fire in order to get the best time to kill on it. And this is going to be your best Automaton class setup. All right, now with the KG M40 setup, we're going to actually have two of them, one for Caldera and one for Rebirth. I'm starting off with the Caldera 300 health KG setup. And what we want to do is use the shrouded barrel here because this is what gets us our max bullet velocity and makes our recoil the best it possibly can be. Now, if you remember, the one con of this weapon I said was the aim down sight speed being really slow, so that's why on the rear grip, we're using the leather, so we get plus aim down sight speed solely with no con. This is going to really fix it and make it feel manageable with the ADS instead of awful. And then from there, you already know tight grip is probably the most important, sustained fire, accuracy, and recoil. And then we use the 60 round drum because this is the one that is going to give us the best damage per mag. And after that, you already know why I picked the 12-9 Slate 325. This also helps our aim down sight speed versus the SVT 3 to 6 times, and it also makes our recoil even better. And then everything else is pretty straightforward, just helping out our bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil control. And now I'm going to switch over to the Rebirth setup on this, and what I'm going to switch up first is going to be from the shrouded over to the rapid barrel. And this is going to get us really good time to kills. It's also going to help out our ADS just slightly over the other barrel, so we get slightly better movement, we get a way better time to kill, and a way faster fire rate. This is going to absolutely melt people. The recoil will be a little bit worse, but you can easily manage it out to 80 meters, perfect for Rebirth Island. And that is the only change I'm making to it. Now, I hope you enjoyed that video, and if you want to see another useful video on SMGs, click on this one right here. Peace.